Hi, Mike here. You're watching Scout Restoration Yukon. In this video, I install the leaf springs and U-bolts and then install the Dana 30 axle in my 1966 Scout 800. This is not a how-to video. It's a how I do video. I hope you like it. Let's get to work. If you want to help, please subscribe to Scout Restoration Yukon. It's free. Mike Morrow, over and out.
These are brand new, custom built U-bolts. Just put a little never sees on them. Stick them on here.
These U-bolts are 5/8 diameter.
The shock absorber is at the front. Okay, this one doesn't fit. I have to squish it a little bit. That's one on. I won't tighten the U-bolts until the axle is installed in the truck and everything's lined up the way it should be. But anyway, that's one done. This side has two different sizes of U-bolts because it's an offset diff, and this side here is bigger because it's part of the housing, the saddle. The saddle is part of the casting, the center of the diff. Well, I forgot the never sees. I'll put it on from the bottom here. Now, get them all started.
These current 15-inch wheels are temporary. I have the original 16-inch wheels. I will be putting them on later on after I have purchased some 16-inch tires.
The important thing is to make sure you're on the dowel, both dowels, top and bottom of spring. One goes through the plate on the bottom, and one goes into a hole in the axle. So really, that's good enough for now, because when we install it, everything will line up, and then we tighten the U-bolts. I will now carefully roll the front axle under the Scout.
I'm glad I'm not rolling this on gravel.
We'll just make sure this bolt is going to be long enough. I think so. That's close enough for now. Over the other side, have a look, see what's going on. That's close enough for now too, because the first thing I forgot to do was put some never sees on those bolts. So I'll pull them out again. Put the never sees. That one didn't go all the way either, we will notice. I'm not going to worry about that too much until I get the front on there. I'll try to get this one out. So never sees on there. Voila. Stick them in there. They're not properly lined up yet, but we got a ways to go. Now I need to lower the Scout, maybe 16 inches. So I have to raise it, get the weight off these jack stands. I think I should remove the middle jack stands. I have two at the back. I'm wondering if I can utilize this one. Back of the Scout. Just in case something goes sideways, we've got backup jack stand. Now, just really lift the Scout a bit. That one's out of there. That one's out of there. Just lower this down. Looking pretty good. Come down a bit. Stick that bolt in there. Never sees on that baby. There. Nut on there. Same thing other side. Another bolt. Never see. It looks like we have to lift it a bit. Flat washer, nylon nut. Bolt went all the way in. That bolt went all the way in. So I'm just going to pick it up and set it down again. So I'm pretty happy with that. The front axle is back in the Scout. It's good for many, many, many miles. I just have to do the brakes. Everything's in place. You just have to tighten up all the bolts on the springs and shackle and the U-bolt. The U-bolts got to be tight. The shackle bolts, spring bolts for the bushing, I just snug them. And that's why I use nylock nuts. I just snug them. You don't want to squeeze that. You don't ever want to hammer those bolts on there because everything has to move back and forth and up and down and all around. And it won't work right or it'll wear something. But anyway, let's get to work. I will tighten the nylock nut at the rear of the front leaf spring, both sides. That's tight enough. Other side, tightening the front shackle bolts. So I'm tightening them right up like that. Now loosen them off just a little bit. Same thing on the other side. So these are the shackle bolts. Again, when I raise and lower the vehicle, you can see how the shackle moves. So I have seen a spec for 10 foot-pounds torque for these bolts. I'm more than willing to try that. There, 10 foot-pounds. 10 foot-pounds. Now let's see if it still moves. Okay, so I agree. I'll go with that 10 foot-pounds torque on the shackle. Before continuing to tighten the U-bolts, I'm just going to raise the car up and down a few times. As I raise the car up and down, you can see the shackle moving. That's why I don't like to crank those bolts too tight. The shackle needs to move. Now the full weight of the Scout is on the springs. So I will tighten the U-bolts using a ratcheting wrench. I will snug them up pretty tight by hand. And then before torquing them, I will cut off the excess U-bolt that's sticking out the bottom. So let's get to work. After snugging the U-bolts, I like to tap them with a hammer. Make sure they're in the correct position. Here's the other side. I will now lift the Scout so that I can cut off the excess U-bolt with a zip cut. Same thing on the other side. I will now torque the U-bolts to 50 foot-pounds.
I am confident that with the weight of the engine, there will be sufficient clearance between the drag link and the leaf springs.
50 foot-pounds. That's tight enough for now. The U-bolts will get retorqued after the truck has been driven and I may retorque them to 60. But right now, 50 is fine.
In conclusion, this is the first component to be installed in the Scout. I am proud that I've been able to maintain a high standard of workmanship. However, the front axle job is still not finished. When the Scout is on level concrete with the engine, roof, doors, and all the rest installed and with the correct wheels and tires, I will measure at each corner the distance from the frame to the floor. If there's any discrepancy, I will shim it accordingly. The passenger side front leaf spring is the most common place that needs to be shimmed on a Scout. There was no shim there when I took it apart. It's possible that someone previously neglected to install this shim. I suspect that this may also be the reason that the drag link is close to the passenger side spring. When the time comes, that will make an interesting video. My next video will be steering box installation. I hope you like it. If you want to help, please subscribe to Scout Restoration Yukon. Mike Morrow, over and out.